There we go. What's happening, Steeler Nation? Welcome, man. Listen, technology is something, right? For whatever reason, my audio was not showing. Now we're here. But what is happening, Steeler Nation? Hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, live from the Still Basement. And listen, I apologize early for looking down on my phone. I forgot to send the link earlier to a few people that I send the link to directly. So give me 2 seconds. Let me do that really quick. But how's everybody doing? How's everybody doing this lovely almost summer June Tuesday? How's everybody doing? Slow time of the year, man. So, we don't have as much stuff to talk about, but we try to make some information, make some things stretch, if you will. Not a lot to get into, man, so I'm not even going to waste you guys' time. I'm going to jump right into it. But, of course, before I do that, hold on, guys. Let me share out the link via Twitter. Give me a second. And if you guys could do that for me as well, man, if you like what you see, hey, help your boy out. Share it, like it, retweet it, TikTok it, whatever you do with it. It'll be, it's definitely appreciated. 1 second, guys. I'm almost there. And I won't hold you guys. All right, here we go. Let's get into it. So, let me grab my topics here for the night so I have those readily available. But also, let's take a quick look at the early commenters. Let's say hello to you guys, as well as with this software. I hope we don't have any occurrences like last week where it froze on us. Well, the week before that. You guys know I didn't do the live show last week because my wife and I did celebrate our anniversary. We had a great time. And man, very interesting. The pre-recorded video got quite a few views. Might not sound like a lot to everybody else, but it got over 3,500 views, which is a little unique for a pre-recorded Terrible Towel Tuesday. So I don't know if I happened to title the video a certain way, but for whatever reason, that video got a lot of views. And again, that's a lot of views for me around this time of the year. Again, with it being pre-recorded. So there you have it. But anyway, hope you guys enjoy what I talked about in that show. And let's say hello to the early commenters. Joshua Shields, 412 born and raised. Amon Bozeman, Mr. Winningham, how you doing tonight, sir? Hello, Lanisha, one of our lovely ladies in the chat. Make sure you take time to say the proper hello to our ladies tonight. Hello, Lanisha, how you doing? My man Y Diggy in the building. Michael Garman, Ali Howard, Jack Bauer. Who else? Hello, Miss Tina Williams, another lovely lady of the Steeler Nation, and here at our show, one of our faithful. So make sure, again, say hello to our lovely ladies. Todd Christian, Mark Cunningham, Vista Light, Jared Devil. Who else we got up in here? Louise D, Dark Realms 1. And we'll end it right about there as far as commenters. All right, let me get into my topics, man. Let's see what we got going on. First one I'm going to address. I don't remember if I talked about this in the pre-recorded show, but Le'Veon Bell is saying that he wants to retire a Steeler. I think they're even entertaining, I say they, talking about him in the media, entertaining the notion of him getting preseason snaps or something. Let me just say this. I know as fans, we have our own thoughts and opinions. I don't really care how people live their lives or what have you. I'll give my opinion, but I'm not one to block anybody's blessing or what have you. It's not my decision to be made. But I would say this from a fan perspective. I mean, again, kind of the way he left. I don't know. Kind of the way that he left leaves a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. I can kind of stomach his more so than, maybe some others because it was a money situation. He ended up, hurting himself in the long run in terms of long-term money and longevity of career. So it is what it is. I mean, I'm sure it would be bitter for the fans, but it is what it is. If somebody wants to retire a Steeler, that's where they play the majority of their seasons. If the organization is cool with it, why should I care? But like I said, I don't think it's at the top of most people's mind given the way he left. It kind of felt like some people feel like it felt like he quit on the team. But like I said, other than the way Antonio Brown forced his way out of Pittsburgh, you really can't be mad at Le'Veon Bell in terms of why he left, how he left. Getting himself, getting himself out of there. Not playing on the franchise tag. It was all a business thing, and the only thing you can really say is he made a bad decision. I couldn't go as far as to say he quit on the team. He just made a bad decision. He was trying to get paid. The Steelers didn't budge. He didn't budge. And there you have it. The rest was history. But do I care if he retires as a Steeler? I don't. Because I can still appreciate what he was as a Pittsburgh Steeler. I'm not going to sit here and act like I didn't like when Le'Veon Bell was in that backfield and what he did for us and his run style. If you go back and just look at some of the film, this dude was it, no doubt about it. And I almost feel the same way about Antonio Brown. I mean, as a player, that's a little more bitter because of the way he forced himself out. But as players, you can never erase what they did. You can have your personal feelings, but you can never erase what they did, the joy they brought you when they were on the team. So, like I said, if the organization is cool with Le'Veon Bell retiring as a Steeler, why should I care? Here we go, Steelers. That's kind of how I look at that. But I just wanted to throw that little quick sidebar in there. Not sure how some of you guys might feel about it, but those are my quick thoughts. Next up, I want to talk a little bit about, and I'm actually bootleg right now. I'm not prepared. Let me pull it up so I can get the names for you. Just want to talk about, the most recent roster moves. Nothing to write home about, but I will give them to you. Give me a second here. The Steelers, I do believe now, is at a 90-man roster. They signed offensive lineman Jared Williams and also running back Darius Hagans. They released wide receiver Cody Crest. I didn't even know who Cody Crest was. No disrespect to him. I just didn't know who this guy was. I'm just saying, right? But they did sign another offensive lineman. I believe he's a tackle. Excuse me. The Steelers have him listed as an OL, but the reports I was seeing, people were calling him a tackle. Not too familiar with him, but there you have it. The Steelers are still trying to create quality depth at the offensive line position. I think one theme that they mentioned, coaches as well as, others in the organization kind of saying how the Steelers were a little bit lucky last year, being able to get through an entire season without having a real injury on the offensive line. It's been made clear that they don't want to do that. They don't want to roll the dice again. They want to have not only good quality starters, but also quality depth behind them. So I think that's the reason why you're going to continue to see offensive linemen like this guy rounding out the 90-man roster, and they're just going to let people compete, and may the best men win. Those guys who are kind of, I would say, on a 53-man roster, I would say those guys who are like from the 41st spot on down, right? Those are the guys who are going to kind of battle it out. Most of the guys that you already know are going to make the team. All right, early, we got us a donation here, man. So first and foremost, let's stop and give a round of applause to my good buddy, Luis D. Thank you very much, Luis, man. Appreciate it. Always appreciate any of you guys and gals who donate, man. You're so kind. Definitely appreciate that. So thank you so much for that. But let's read the comment. He says, hypothetically, if you had a choice of going with, let's say, 6 wide receivers, to your roster, who would be the odd man out for you? Also, this question applies to Kenyon. Do you think UD David, okay, David Paralis, hopefully I'm saying his name correctly, can make the team. Let me answer that second part first. Still haven't had my opportunity to really watch his tape. I've just had a lot going on, but I promise y'all, man, when I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. I will get back through a lot of these guys' film. That'd be a perfect time to do it now while it's slow, right? While it's not a lot to talk about, and I can come on some of these shows and give you my thoughts on those kids. I will say I think this guy probably has a chance because I've heard a lot of you guys say that, and I've heard some outlets say that this could be a guy that could end up being a camp darling or, someone who could surprise. So he probably has a good opportunity out of some of the other UDFAs to make the squad. In terms of wide receiver, I'm going to cheat a little bit, man, because I can't recall right off memory. But I'm going to take a look at this roster. Let's see exactly who we currently have at the wide receiver position. And I can see if I could give you 6 names and, who potentially would be the odd man out. So I'm going to read all of these names to all of you guys. Some of these people we're not going to know, just being honest. Calvin Austin III, Miles Boykin, Jamarcus Bradley, Hakeem Butler, Dan Chesina, I'm not sure how you pronounce the last name. I know who that is. I'm just not sure how he pronounces the name. Cody Crest is already gone. There's a Dez Fitzpatrick, a Deontay Johnson, Anthony Miller, Gunnar Olszewski, George Pickens, Allen Robinson, Cody White, and Jordan Byrd. Okay, now I'm going to kind of give you my list based off of how I think the Steelers are going to do it. Any of these guys could creep up and be in the 6th spot, but we know right off the bat Deontay Johnson, okay? We know right off the bat George Pickens, that's 3. We know pretty much off the bat Allen Robinson. Excuse me, that was 2. Allen Robinson, that's 3. I think if I had to put my money on it, of course, Calvin Austin, that's 4. I think even a guy like Anthony Miller probably has a solid shot to make the roster, depending on what they want to do in the slot. Miles Boykin is a wild card because Miles Boykin, if you guys remember, if you paid attention watching the games last year, Miles Boykin became, a special teams demon. So even though, he is a wide receiver by definition, I think even if the Steelers were to, let's say, keep 6 or 5, he's kind of a wild card at that spot, but Boykin is probably going to make the team more than likely for special teams, right? So I'm not even going to include him in my 6. So then who do we think after that? I think the next person who might have a chance, let me see. Let me make sure I got the right numbers here. Johnson, Pickens, Austin, Allen, Robinson. That's the same guy, right? Robinson and Miller. That's 5. So if we were to keep 6, my hope would be we could get something out of Hakeem Butler. That would be my hope, which in my opinion, the odd man out, I think in this situation, even before we even get into camp, I think Gunnar O might end up being an odd man out. I don't know if Gunnar is going to give us enough special teams wise. Remember last year he had a couple fumble problems and he kind of got put on the back burner. I think if the Steelers find somebody else to continue to do return duty for them, so that's going to lessen Gunnar O's capability. Again, I think if you're talking about special teams and how it played out last year, Miles Boykin was more of the special teams guy versus Gunnar, in my opinion. And there you have it. I think Gunnar would be the lone man out. Cody White would be the lone man out. And some of these other guys who maybe have an opportunity to be special teams guys. But again, the way I hope it turns out, this would be my 6 if they kept 6. Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Allen Robinson, Calvin Austin, Anthony Miller, Hakeem Butler. That would be my preferred 6 just off of paper, right? I'm open for anybody getting that 6th spot or 5th spot if they show up. I'm just going off of, conventional wisdom and thinking about what these guys can do from a measurable standpoint. And obviously guys like Deontay and Pickens, we've seen them. So there you have it. Sorry for that long-winded analysis there, guys. But I wanted to make sure I took a little bit of time and answered that question the best way I could. So appreciate it again, Luis. Thanks for the donation. Where was I before that? I was talking about the roster moves. So yeah, nothing really more to hit on in terms of the roster moves. I mean, like I said, I don't know much about Jared Allen. I don't know much about Darius Hagans. There you have it. I don't know which of these UDFAs or these signings guys are going to creep into the 53. Let the games begin. This is always a great part of the season when training camp hits and preseason, because you can kind of see, who really wants it, who are going to be those last couple guys that you didn't expect, who's going to be a Jaylen Warren for this year. A guy that come from undrafted to ended up being somebody contributing. So I'm always look forward to see who out of these names could be one of those people to perk up. Outside of that, let's see, what else do we have here? Let's talk a little bit about Dan Moore. I'll be brief with him. There's reports coming out of OTAs that Dan Moore got snaps at right tackle. Interesting. Very interesting. Because what that tells me, I know there's a lot of different analysis out there, and there's a lot of different opinions and what people think is going to happen. Some people, have gone as far to write things in stone. I don't do that. I just try to give an educated guess. I feel if Dan Moore is getting reps, at right tackle, it could mean a couple things. Well, let's give a shout out to Y Diggy, man. Been a member of the channel for 20 months. Always going to highlight you guys' comments as well. Those who are members of the channel, they actually pay a monthly fee. It's $4.99. So I really appreciate you guys that do that. Got to give you a round of applause. Wadiggy says, to piggyback off of Louis' question, who's going to return kicks and punts? Man, that's a good question, right, Diggy? And again, I said Gunnar O might not have as much to offer, but that's why we brought him in. He got pulled last year, right? And Steven Sims handled that duty for us last year. And it kind of sucks, man, that, the 2 seasons, well, not 2, maybe a couple more, but let's say back-to-back consecutive guys who have been able to return the ball for us have been decent at it. McLeod showed some splashes, but then we all seen what Steven Sims could do. So it kills me that we don't have a guy like that. Is it going to be a Calvin Austin? Is it going to be one of these backup running backs? Is it going to be one of the other wide receivers? Are they looking at Gunnar O? I think they're going to give everyone else an opportunity to do it because, again, we all know how Tomlin feels, and probably a little bit of Danny Smith as well. When you put the ball on the ground as a returner, whether that's kickoff or punt, a lot of times you get snatched. And that bad taste, I'm sure, is still in the coaches' mouths. So I'm sure they're going to give everyone else plenty of ample opportunity to be the returner for both, or, whoever's going to split kick return, punt return. But that's a very good question. I don't think we really can come to that conclusion today. But that's a wonderful question, and I'm looking for that as well. Back to Dan Moore. Again, my opinion of it, man, him getting snaps at right tackle, I know it's early, but again, I know you can't really etch anything in stone in OTAs, but you can get a glimpse of what kind of ideas are out there. I'm going to talk about another idea that we mentioned last week as well in a moment. I think that means that Dan Moore might be headed for being a swing guy. Listen, some people are saying that they don't think Broderick Jones is going to play this year, while others are saying that he is. All I'm going to say is this. You move up to get a first-round left tackle. I think their plans are to play this kid if he's ready, and if he could beat out somebody else, and if he could play as good or better as Dan Moore, I think we're going to see him play. And like I said, I do not think at this moment, I don't think that Dan Moore is taking Okorafor's right tackle spot. I don't think that. I think Chooks is still going to be the starter at right tackle. I just feel like if he's getting snaps at right tackle, it's because the Steelers want him to be capable of playing both left and right. And if you're entertaining him having the possibly play right, that means to me, again, it's early. You can't call it right now, but that means to me that this guy is not going to be the starting left tackle. Perhaps that could be the plan. And Broderick Jones is still going to have to earn it, but I think the plan is to allow him to play and make sure that they have a capable, swing tackle. So that's what I would take from that. Again, it's very early, but again, man, you got to pay attention to all of these little crumbs and little nuggets that you're seeing and hearing, because they could, translate into something down the road. Let's see. Moving right along, man. Let's get into the next topic, and then I'll get into my final topic. I'll see if we have phone calls, and then, like I said, man, we can get up out of here. Steelers may have found a diamond in the rough at the cornerback position. We've talked about this for a couple weeks now, but what we've talked about seems to be coming into fruition early. I know, football in shorts, I know, but again, you can see skill set in shorts. If you ever watched people who are really good at flag football, you can see their skill set, right? They, you don't know how they might be in a live environment with pads on, but you can at least see what a guy's skill set is in shorts. All we're hearing out of OTAs is how well this guy is playing. And I'm talking about Corey Trice. I'm going to start calling these dudes the juniors. Okay? Joy Porter Jr. and Corey Trice Jr. The juniors is acting like they want to be seniors really quick. I know my man Kenyon says we're probably looking at the duo for 2024, but them boys acting like they want to be about that life now, because we're hearing nothing but good things from Joy Porter and a lot of good things from Corey Trice. And the reason why I emphasize Trice, again, this is the 7th round pick, slid in the draft because they said, he has some injury history, but you got to be more impressed by what he's doing, because you expect your quote unquote de facto 2nd round pick. It was a 32nd pick. You expect him to be that, one of the top prospects at cornerback in college. You expect Joy Porter to be doing what he's doing, and what you're hearing about how well he's picking it up, getting first team reps and things like that. You expect that. But it is a beautiful thing to hear the early things that we're hearing about Trice, and you're hearing other players talk about it. It's a beautiful thing to hear how they already are talking about the mentorship and the taking under the wing, if you will, from a Patrick Peterson. I'm loving that. That's why he was signed. Okay, he's going to play some ball, but Pat Pete was signed to be that. The savvy veteran, show these young boys the ropes, go out there and play, do what you can do in your career here with us. And in the meantime, we're going to give you a triple salute for getting these boys where they need to be. Love that. I love what's happening in this cornerback position so far, in terms of a couple young guys perking up early, and then you got a older veteran as a mentor. And we're already seeing a glimpse of something else. I'll talk about it in just a second. We got to give Luis another round of applause. Another donation has come in. Appreciate that. Yeah, man, I love it. I didn't actually hear it. I think it was on the podcast, but everybody is, kind of poking fun at, Pat Pete and his older verbiage, if you will, saying that Calvin Austin, referring to him as that Joker. And anybody, I know everybody come from different backgrounds and things like that, but if you like me, if you got any family from the South or whatever, then you know that term, like them Joker, that Joker, that's an old school term. So everybody was laughing at that. But yeah, apparently Pat Pete was saying how, I ain't even know really much about Calvin Austin. All I do know is that Joker is fast. And then, Pat Pete did go on to let us know, the ball wasn't caught. I was able to get back and phase, yada, yada, yada. But he basically said Calvin Austin is clearly the fastest one in that group. And Luis said maybe he'll be the returner. we'll see. I mean, that was a question last season. We wondered if Calvin Austin would get a shot at doing that just because of his pure speed. And then, he was injured. And here's the thing, speed doesn't always translate into a great returner. Some guys just got the knack for it. I even take a guy like Antonio Brown. AB wasn't a blazer, but AB just knew how to return them kicks, man. He just knew. He just had a knack for it, right? So just because guys are fast, super fast, doesn't necessarily mean that they are really good at returning. You get them in open field and they should be good in open field, but you know what I'm saying? Some guys just got that knack. Then you have guys like Devin Hester that, was the dual threat. He had speed and he was just nice at returning. You know what I mean? So we'll have to see, what goes on in that regard. So yeah, we'll see. Next up, man, what was I talking about? Oh, I was still sticking with the cornerbacks before I get to the last topic. Listen, man, we're already getting a peek into something that I mentioned last week, something that some of you guys have mentioned as well. There's stories and reports already coming out saying that Joey Porter Jr. not only got first team reps, but Patrick Peterson slid inside. Okay. Again, if you go all the way back to the draft, you heard Terrell Austin say, listen, this is not going to be a red shirt year. Joey Porter will play. And if you got any type of acumen, as far as football knowledge, you would understand that if that is the case, you're probably going to get Porter on the field more than likely, in most cases, in sub, which means somebody has to move inside, meaning either one of the outside corners, i.e. when Cam Sutton was doing dual role, when Cam Sutton was the starter on the outside, but then when we went in sub, we moved back into the slot or nickel corner position, which, I think that's where he needed to be. So we might have that same situation now, or it could be somebody else. I think they're going to do a combination of things in the nickel. I don't think that Patrick Peterson will always play it. But again, seeing that they're already rolling out that type of package, whereas Wallace, Porter, Pete, Pat Pete in the nickel. And again, you might see many people there. You might see guys like KZ. You might see Minka there. You might see many people there. In some spurts, you might see Trey Norwood there. They've tried that early in his career when he was a rookie. I don't think Norwood is as physical. I like more of a sure tackling guy in the nickel spot, and you think about, how scrappy Mike Hilton was. You think about even how much of a sure tackler and cover guy Sam Sutton. Why can't I talk tonight? I was about to call him Sam Sutton. Cam Sutton, how sure tackled he was in the slot. I like guys like that can bring a little physicality. You don't have to be the biggest guy, but you got to be, bring some pop with you and be physical and stick your face in the fan. Even Marlette, Marlette was a willing tackler. Wasn't always the greatest cover guy, but you need a little bit of that. And I don't know if Trey Norwood has that. Trey Norwood doesn't show me that in his game. He shows me more of a finesse type of roaming type of safety type of guy, right? Not a nickel corner type of guy as far as mentality. But who knows? Maybe you can coach it up. But yeah, I don't see Norwood spending a lot of time there. But the opportunities are endless. We got a lot of pieces in the defensive secondary now. A lot of versatility, so you never know who will be in the spot. So we shall see. But like I said, man, it's cool to get a glimpse of what they're already doing in the OTAs. It could definitely translate into something again down the road. So we shall see. My last and final topic, man, and this is kind of, again, I'm pulling at straws, just trying to find some topics. This is something that, what's his name? Colin Cowherd said. I just saw the article. Colin Cowherd, some of these media guys and pundits, I don't always agree with everything they say. Sometimes I like to look at what they're talking about and kind of, debate the opposite, or sometimes I will agree, all of these talking heads. But he had an interesting point, and actually I'm going to pull it up here and see if there's more to the article. I kind of just saw the headline. Let me see if there's more meat to pull from it. He basically said that, the Steelers roster approach focused too much on the defense. And I want to know if you guys agree with that. But let me kind of read exactly what he says here. He says they can't fix their O-line. Neither can Pittsburgh. And he was talking about another team, but he says neither can Pittsburgh. I think he was talking about the Bills. And he said, what do they have in common? A defensive coach. Do you know the 4 teams in the league who lead the NFL in spending money on the defensive side? Chargers, Bills, Seahawks, and Steelers. All 4 defensive coaches. Last 5 years, they're 6-12 in the playoffs. 8 years they've missed the playoffs completely. Okay, and he says they have a defensive coach and clearly an offensive league. So my question to you guys is, regardless of how he phrased it, do you think, here's the question I have for you guys, not whether or not you agree with him or not, but here's the question. I'm gonna flip the question and spin it a little bit. If you agree with Colin Cowherd, where do you think the Steelers could have done better this offseason offensively? This offseason. When you look at the draft, you look at free agency, and think about everything that we know of what they've done in free agency and whatever else, where do you think the Steelers could have improved offensively? Where would you have liked to have seen them go offensively versus what they did defensively? Again, take into account the draft and take into account free agency when you answer that question. I wonder what you guys have to say about that. And that's the question. And I'll just wait for some answers. I don't completely agree with what he said. I mean, I think, in my opinion, the offense is young and emerging. You know, you got a second-year quarterback that looks like he's got some promise. You got a second-year wide receiver that looks like he could easily be a number 1. You still got Deontay Johnson, which, again, if you go look at his numbers in comparison to other guys, even though he's dropped a few, he still ranks very high in that regard. You know, one of the best route runners and separation creators in the league. You still got Najee Harris. You go out there and you add Darnell Washington along with Pat Fryermuth. You beef up the offensive line. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that. But again, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Chris said the Killer Bee era had a great O-line, though. Yeah, and that defense suffered. Bettsburg said they stacked on the offense. I don't know what he's talking about. Dark Realm says this year seems rather balanced. I would agree. Walter Worthy says O-line was the biggest hole, and while it remains to be seen, they did attempt to address it. Yeah. Jack Bauer says Colin is a casual who hasn't paid attention to what the Steelers have done on the offensive side this offseason. Fair point. I kind of tend to agree with. I don't know if I can go as far as. Well, I know what you're saying when you say casual, but I definitely agree with him when he says clearly he wasn't paying attention to what they've done this offseason. Kenya said he gets zero respect from me. I met him at USC spring game, and I told Colin Cowherd he doesn't know what he's talking about. And you know what's funny? I believe Kenyon absolutely said that to Colin Cowherd. But yeah, Kenyon, it always cracks me up, man. Jersey Boy said they did enough. Juan says we have a young offense, so it's slept on. Yeah, it is. They that's what I'm saying, man. They are. You got to let these kids build. Eric says he doesn't think anyone here agrees with Colin. Mark Cunningham says totally disagree. Omar knocked it out the park. Yeah, man. So I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on that, man. It's just, again, this is living proof, guys, why I don't really, really pay attention to the talking heads. And I talk football with people a lot, whether it's, at work or, sometimes family, that family that doesn't really watch. It's like, a lot of people will base their opinion off of that. So, and I'm gonna call out Steeler Nation really quick. There's people in Steeler Nation, I'm sure, that have literally watched what he said, and now that's their opinion. They're gonna go back to their job at the water cooler and say exactly what Colin said, or they'll go listen to what Stephen A said, and they're gonna regurgitate exactly. I'm like, dog, what about your opinion? I always stick to my opinion. I can either agree with what someone said or disagree, but I always give my personal assessment. I don't rely on these talking heads because, again, sometimes they could be doing it for shock value. Sometimes, like my man said there, they could be casual watchers. I don't know how you come away from this free agency, this draft, even though they went defensive as well, but they drafted an offensive weapon at left tackle with their first pick, moved up to get him. They turn around and got Darnell Washington later in the draft, who could be a tremendous steal. Look what they did with the offensive line in the free agency. Then they went out and got Allen Robinson at receiver. I'm just saying, what are you talking about? So, okay, you can say maybe you don't like said players, but you cannot say that they didn't do anything with the offense. They focused way too much on the defense. Somebody said it in here, man, and I shouted you out when you said it. I just can't remember who said it. I think we were rather balanced this year. So I have no idea what anyone is talking about who feels that way. I will listen to your opinion, but to flat out say, yeah, I don't know, man. Now, he does make a good point as far as it is an offensive league, and most of the teams who have won the Super Bowl recently have been successful in the playoffs. They can put up points. You are correct with that. But you know who else can put up points? I'm just going, no disrespect. The Buffalo Bills put up a whole lot of points in the regular season. They can't seem to get over the hump. Just saying. So it has to be some type of balance. But those are my thoughts. Let's get to the calls, man. Let's see if we have. Oh, we do have a quick donation here. Appreciate that, C. Antoine Hill. So we're gonna throw a round of applause. Thank you, brother. Fully agree. He says Khan killed it this year. Colin needs to stop. Yeah, man. Let that talking head talk. That's about all I can say about it. So let's see if we have any calls, man. Oh, yeah, we have a few. We have 4 calls in the queue. Y'all know the routine, man. In and out. Please try not to be too long-winded. Don't go over time. And, yeah, let's have some fun with it. First up in the queue, looks like one of our favorites, man, Mr. Winningham, area code 803. What you got for us, sir?
Good evening, everybody. Look, he did as much as he could to this roster, especially on the offense. This is a great job. Compared to in years past, roster construction to me has been a big issue with this team under Kevin Colbert, maybe the last 5 years. Because this year now we've officially moved away from the Ben Roethlisberger era back to a more traditional Pittsburgh Steelers football for the first time in 20 years. One of my main people I want to get on this evening is number 69. I know he took away his name, Kevin Dotson. Mr. Dotson's worried about what's going on with over at left tackle, but yet he's almost to the point has conceded that he will not be the starting left guard this year because of Salamula. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Dotson, either we get rid of him or do something because he's starting to, from what I understood, he got kicked out of a drill this week in OTAs. So, he's got a decision he's got to make for us what he wants to do this year. Is he going to come out and play football? He's worried about whether Broderick Jones is going to get any time this year or not. But I'm gonna be short, and I thank and glad to be here tonight, and I hope everybody have a great week.
Man, Mr. Winningham, I appreciate you each and every time you call, man. You know we love you over here. You just reminded me. You know what? And I gotta say it because you reminded me. From them last 2 comments that I'm going to say his name one last time. The last 2 comments that Kevin Dotson has made has now reduced him to number 69. I think last week I talked about it in the pre-recorded show where I said I didn't like his mentality of conceding his position. Now, again, maybe he does see the writing on the wall, but you don't tell us. And you don't just deal with that. I don't care what they paid this dude. I'm going to go out here and kick his you know what. And I'm going to get on the field. It would be my mentality to make them think, oh man, maybe we overpaid for old boy. I'm going to go out there and compete. Number one. And number two, like I said, I'm not going to tell the media or the public it's pretty much a done deal. When they pay a guy like that, no. Ain't no done deal until we get between them white lines. And now you come with this comment. Now you the one talking about, I don't think Jones is going to play. You making assessments. Worry about yourself, man. But because you have conceded your position and now you doing all of this loose talk, you are number 69, sir. I will not refer to you by your government again unless you earn it. Yes, and thank you, Mr. Winningham. Salute to you, sir. Thank you for reminding me of that. Man, I don't like that type of mentality, man. Y'all know I'm big on mentality, character. Man, get out of here. Number 69. Next up in the queue, man, area code 951. What you got for us?
Hey, Sim. Thanks for taking my call. Hey, just a real quick hypothetical question for you guys out there. I've been seeing a lot of reports from different sources saying that the Steelers should try to see what the Cardinals might want to give up for, I think his name is Simmons Simmons, middle linebacker of Arizona. Everyone's saying he would be a good match. Seeing what the Steelers have right now, especially in the middle, they have some thumpers, obviously, but his athleticism and ranginess might be a good fit. I guess the question I have is, hypothetically speaking, if they did get a guy like that and plug him in, would that make our safety depth deeper as far as the safeties that we have on the current roster now? And could you see someone like him actually making an impact in this defense? That's all I got.
Man, thanks for the call. Yeah, I think a guy like Simmons, I think your defense does take a little step up as far as our defense. You know, at the inside linebacker position, of course, it would help the safeties because then you could do different things, you know, on your sub packages. You know, you could think about a Ryan Shazier, not comparing them. I'm just saying when Ryan Shazier was out there, you could literally heap him out there by himself in dime and have all these other athletes around him, safeties, corners, whatever you want to do. You could even do that in sub nickel. You could have the one backer and then have a safety beside him when you got a dog. So I think, you know, Simmons is talented enough. I'll be honest in saying, you know, how well would he fit? I don't know. We'd have to see him in action with our defense. But here's the one thing I want everybody to remember. This is the reason why I always promote places like Steelers Depot, because these guys do it for a living. They do it daily. Shout outs to both Alex Kazor and Dave Bryan, because Dave is always talking about salary cap. I want everybody to keep that in mind, man. And that's why I said I love listening to those guys, because they remind you of those little things and they take the fanfare out of it, right? Where we like, oh, let's get that guy, let's get this guy. You know, they talked about it on their recent podcast. Is, you know, that's a huge cap hit for him. And, you know, they're talking about Buda Baker. Both of these guys are scheduled to get quite a bit of money. Now, if the Steelers want to do it, then obviously, if they want to do it, they can massage the cap, whatever. I will accept it. But we just got to consider those things too, man, when we think about who they're going to trade for, who would you want on the team, and what you think the Steelers would do. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think for sure, again, because right now we talking about Cole Holcomb, who's coming off of foot surgery, Elandon Roberts, Mark Robinson. That's pretty much it. And the only other notion out there is we're saying, oh, they might move Herbig inside, who's unproven. So, yeah, I would definitely hypothetically take a Simmons and see what we could get out of him. But a lot of stuff in play there, man, to consider. But appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Next up, area code 678. What you got for us?
Thanks a lot for taking my phone call, Slim.
Yes, sir.
Real fast, I see, I've been watching a lot of games, 1994. I see there could be some similarities. They had big Eric Green on there. They had good outside linebacker play. They had good cornerback play. Deion Figures was a young rook back then. They had Tim McKyer and Rod Woodson out there. And the only thing they was lacking was a quarterback. Because, they had Neil throw it to the wrong team, O'Donnell. But my question for you is, so if Kenny could play as good as Ben Roethlisberger played in his second year, with us having a running game and us deliberately wanting to go to a 12-man personnel, stuff like that, you feel as though he could progress just like Ben Roethlisberger did in his second season with the team that we got now. And I don't know how old you were when in 1994, but can you see that there could be some similarities to that team and this team? Because they utilize the tight end and the fullback like a sort of like, because I think that Hayward guy, he's going to be pretty important this season as far as fullback goes. I see him doing some things helping us out. What do you think?
Man, appreciate the call. That's very, very valid. Good point. 94, I was a youngin'. Wasn't paying as close attention to the team as I do now. I would say I probably was. I mean, I've watched those teams, of course. I've seen, and I remember the Neil O'Donnell. Like, this is even a little before that. Like, I remember all of them. But what I'm saying is, like, I wasn't really paying attention to the squads then because I was, a youngster. Like, ain't know what I was really paying attention to or watching. However, my era is more like, I would even go as far back to say, when I really start paying attention is like when Ben came in. So those teams on up, I can really tell you a good comparison, even though I've seen all of those other years. But I can answer your question, though. I definitely think that it could be a situation like that. I definitely think the Steelers could build on a 12 personnel situation. I would hope and I would love for that to be the case with what we already know about Darnell Washington. I mean, his sheer size, his presence, him being a willing blocker. He calls himself the 6th offensive lineman. Man, if we can get that going and get play action going with him and Freiermuth, or him and Gentry, Gentry being another big body guy, but you giving the illusion like you're running the football. You got Zach Gentry and got Darnell Washington, and then you got a fullback or someone lined up at fullback and Najee. Like, come on, man. I would love for us to do that. Run, pass when you need to, pass when they're unexpected. Come out in 12 on first down, play action off of that. Would love us to kind of play like that. And like you said, kind of progress Kenny along. And back in them days, like in Ben's second year, it wasn't a passing leagues. And I think you can still win. I really think you can still win football games being a semi-run first team, but a balanced team, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want us to just lock in on the run like as much as Tennessee does. But if we could always pose that threat and we're capable to run, but then we also will throw that thing. Because here's the beauty of it too. And I know I'm going off course a little bit. Not only the tight ends, we can run the football and we can get George Pickens in more one-on-one situations, or even Deontay. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I would love to see that. Matt Canada, listen, man. The Ferrari is in your garage. You got the keys, and we've gassed it up. All I need you to do is to not crash. That's it. We shall see. Thank you for your call, man. Shout outs to Carmichael. the sports guru. Been with the extended family for 8 months. Appreciate that so much, man. I got to read your comment. He says, I think KP is going to have more say-so in the offense. Okay. That could very well be the case, man. And it seems like, from what you're hearing, Kenny is like a natural leader, and he's taking more ownership of things already in the second season. So we shall see. I don't want to put any determinations out there yet, but I think it's very possible for Kenny to take another step, and I hope he does. I hope we kind of see that second year immersion. So we'll love that. All right, man, we got one more call in the queue. Let's grab that call, and then, we can pretty much wrap it up for the night. Area code 702. What you got for us?
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's going on?
Nothing. I just wanted to get some things off my chest, man. Starting with how committed this team looks this year. I've seen, Killer Bees. I've seen a couple different Steeler teams, and this team, man, the way they all been talking and having each other's backs. I don't know about you guys, but it gets me excited. Like, I can't wait for the season to start, because it just, not only is our schedule not what it was last year, but we're going against a bunch of other teams that are trying to figure it out. So it's going to come down to who wants it more. It's going to be those games where it's either it's a blowout or it's a dogfight. It's going to be nice to watch. But just the young guys, everybody focusing on one thing, either Super Bowl or like how Pickens say Pro Bowl. One or the other, you want to do good. Remember, and you want to win games. And that's what, you can just feel the energy in the room. And then also, too, just the guys we've been picking up into our team this year has just been crazy. Like, you got that, I think it's Elander Roberts. This man got so much white hair. It makes the young guys like Mark Robinson hungry to take that spot. And it's good competition, because I do think Robinson's going to be our guy at middle linebacker. But there has to be dogs for him to, fight for that bone. And it's really just, you can just tell what they're doing. They're building that competitive room for everybody to want to, go for it. And if you do good and you don't end up in this team, you're at least going to get paid. You can get a bag. You're going to go somewhere else. The last thing I want to tell you, too, is Mr. Unnamed. Man, this guy's a clown. The knock on him since he came to us has been that he's lazy. That he's a lazy guy. He can be a really good guy, but he doesn't show the effort. He doesn't show the work. And then look what he does. Last year he comes in overweight, fat. He has to get himself into the position to play. Takes away a couple games from him. And now, the next year comes up. We're paying another guy, and automatically he just, I lost my job. We'll go on these podcasts and, stir up the pot. And it's just, man, we either need to trade this guy or just let him walk, because it's disrespectful, man. Like, this guy is just not – he could have easily had his job this year had he just came in and put his boots on. The guy's a stud. But he just, his work ethic ain't there. And you can just tell by what he's doing right now. It's like, come on, man. Just come in and win your job. Injuries happen every year. This guy can come in and hurt himself, and you just letting your job go away. That's all on him. But that's all I have for you tonight, man. And stay blessed, and thank you for the time.
Man, thank you for the call, man. All the way from 702. If I remember correctly, that's the Vegas area code. I don't know if you're in Vegas or if you're from there, but shout outs to you, man. I appreciate the call. I'm actually going to be in Vegas late August. But you know what? and I heard you about to say exactly what you felt. Listen, that I don't shame you, man. Say, I try to tell everybody to keep it clean, man, because we don't know who's listening. But yeah, I know where you were going with that one, and I feel you. It's that mentality thing, like I said, man. And I think I can go ahead and cut these off now. And why, Diggy, I'm gonna get you in a moment. But it's that mentality thing, man. It's like you said, that was one of the knocks that we did hear about him, about his motor, and it seems like it's showing up. It's rearing its ugly head. And like you said, man, come in ready to compete. You don't concede. You know what I mean? Like, come on, 69, man. That's just terrible, bro. Terrible mentality. So I'm with you. And I heard your frustration, and I'm right there with you, my brother. So, yeah, man. And why y'all out here putting an extra year on Kenny, man? Kenny turned 25 today, not 26. 25. But round of applause, man, to Wide Diggy. Appreciate the donation. I see Carmichael threw another one out there as well, so we'll get you in a second. Round of applause to Wide Diggy. Wide Diggy says, so who is more likely to keep their roster spot, 69 or 53? This might be a tougher choice than we once thought. Woof, man. I'll go out on a limb and say 53 might have a better chance. And y'all know it. I was saying that 53 was going to get cut. But given the recent, recent activity from Mr. 69, I would say Mr. 53 has a better chance, because at least, he is saying, he came out and said as well that, maybe him starting at center his first year might not have been the best idea. He's a more comfortable left guard. So who knows? Maybe he gets out there and he shows to be at least a more capable left guard in a pinch as a backup, as opposed to 69. And 53 also has, center capability. So we don't want to see him play center, but I'm just saying. So we shall see. We shall see. But that is a very great and very tough question there, man. Like you said, it was clear cut at one point, and now we're asking ourselves that question. Much tougher question than we would have imagined. Round of applause to Carmichael, the sports guru. Appreciate the donation, man. Thank you so much, man. You guys are being too kind tonight. He says, I think we are more balanced than we've been in a long time on both sides of the ball. We have a plan in place to develop our younger, cheaper talent. I like where we are. Man, I couldn't say it any better than that. You are 100% correct. Listen, guys, this is the new era. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not your yesterday Steelers or your yesteryear Steelers. It's not. It's a new era, building off of a new quarterback, building off of a semi-new regime in terms of leadership, general manager leadership, right? And even you're hearing people, even, in the organization saying the little subtle differences that Khan is showing. Him and Andy Weidel as a combination. Mike Tomlin's still there. And on down, and we'll see if guys like Matt Canada can perform. I know a lot of us are a little sour on him, but we'll see. But it's a new regime, man. New style of approach with free agency and draft. New players, young quote unquote expected franchise quarterback. This is it. This is the flip of the new page, turning over a new leaf. We got to let it happen as fans. We got to watch it, materialize. That's just what it is. And that's where I'm at with it, man. So, yeah, I'm right on board with Carmichael right there. I'm going to enjoy watching this. And what do you know, man? The team, they could click faster than we think. They have again, I'm going to throw the quote fingers, favorable schedule, which is the NFL. You can never really say that. But, a lesser strength schedule, if you will, than last year. So there's some opportunity here for these guys to, have a solid season and get to the playoffs. We'll see. But in the meantime, I'm going to allow these young guys to get it together. And, we'll see. We'll see what they got. But all right, man, I think that is it for the phone calls. Y'all know how I usually do. Hold on. We got one more. You caught me in the last second. This will be the last call of the night. We got area code 352. What you got for us?
Hey, what's up, man? My name's Granny, dude. I I'm streaming as well, but I called in as a Jags fan to say that y'all drafted defensive players like 8 years in a row, dude, and that kind of killed you a lot. You know what I mean? And the Jags kind of got your number. Like, it's kind of embarrassing a little bit to get beat by the Jags. Like, I mean, we have torn y'all up every time it mattered.
Oh, okay.
Almost always.
Oh, okay. So, what wins have the Jags gotten that have mattered in the NFL?
Well, 2017 would be a big one right there. That'd be a big one.
Did y'all win a championship?
We didn't win the championship. No, of course we haven't won a championship.
I'm just saying.
I mean, we can't flex championships here because
I'm
y'all
not.
have been a team a lot longer.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying none of it really matters in terms unless it's a sustained success. The Jags haven't had that.
Well, the sustained success there is beating y'all when you had playoff runs. Like, y'all could have gone to the playoffs, but for some reason you lose to the Jags in order to lose that spot. 2020, 2021, 2022, I believe all 3 of those years you lost to the Jags in order to not get in those playoff runs or to become a wild card instead of getting directly into that seat.
Okay. So you're saying
I would
that...
say Mike Tomlin. I'm sorry to overtalk you. My bad.
No, go
but
ahead.
I would say Mike Tomlin goes. He went defensive way too long, man. He's playing old school football. You know what I mean? And I think he's learned his lesson a little bit. Like what y'all did in the draft this year was good. And I think maybe he's learned his lesson. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. He's an over 500 coach, but and how many coaches have the Steelers had in the last 60 years?
Not many. But again, and I'm not flexing championships. I'm just talking about the success of the organization. We can't compare the Jaguars. And the Steelers have not lost to the Jaguars the last 8 years in a row. That information is incorrect, sir.
I only said 5 years. I gave you 5 years of which we knocked y'all out or put you into a wild card spot. I didn't say we knocked you out of the playoffs.
Oh, the chat about to get you because they don't forget. But hey, I appreciate the call. I'm gonna go ahead and go. All love and respect, but I definitely appreciate the call. Thank you for calling. But I will say this in closing: if the team you follow, if your championship is beating the Steelers. Hey, man, I think you need to shoot for higher goals, but it's all love and respect. I appreciate you calling. But yeah, it's hard to flex by saying, oh, we beat you for the last, because I'll be honest, I'll throw one against the Steelers. The Browns have beat us of late too, but what does it matter? Doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely Nathan. I'm not even going to say nothing. I'm going to throw the Ebonic word on it. It means absolutely Nathan. So, congrats to you. And one other thing, I gotta throw one little small shot. I wish I would be streaming about the Steelers, and I'm paying attention to somebody streaming about the Jags or whatever team, and then I call that show. Come on, bro. I'm just saying. I wish I would do that. I'm streaming Terrible Towel Tuesday or any Steeler topic, but I take my time out to notice somebody else is streaming for their team, and then I call their team in the midst of streaming. All I'm gonna say, where they do that at? Oh man! All right, let's get back to the chat, man. That was good. I like that. I like that energy tonight. Let's see what else y'all got, man. Give me a couple topics, and then we'll get up out of here. Juan, I love it, Juan. That's hilarious. Let's see. Derek said they don't have a call-in show. Yeah, even if they don't, it's just, listen, I keep telling y'all, I tell y'all this during the season. I don't be paying attention to nobody else. I don't. Not as far as other teams. That's why it always cracked me up when we do the post-game show. It'd be people in here from, and again, if they just, followers of mine, cool. And I'm not saying you can't watch, but I'm like, yo, y'all pay too much attention to other teams. I pay attention to the team I like. I could care less who's streaming. Jags tonight, Seahawks tonight, Cowboys, Ravens, Raiders. Name any of the 31. I could give, because I'm worrying about the Steelers and my Steeler fan base. But all right, man, what y'all got, man? Give me a few. Nobe says, what made him even come on here? He worried about the Steelers a lot. Yeah, like I said, and if my man, if you can still hear me, listen, this is just the internet. We just laughing and joking. I respect, the fact that you called, but you called throwing jabs at the Steelers, so I gotta throw something back. It's all love. But yeah, man, don't stop worrying about what we doing. Let's see. Kenya says, see, Sim, we gotta do a show with us taking phone calls. A steel table call-in show. Yeah, no doubt. We gotta find a way for it to work. We gotta get your phone number somehow to work on Blog Talk so we can do that. Jeremiah Yoder says, let's see who wins the championship first, Jacksonville or Pittsburgh. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Yeah, you know what? I will say this too, and I'm with you, Jeremiah, but that's when you're playing with fire a little bit because, man, our Steelers ain't won no championship in a while. And you never know. A team like the Jags could luck up and do something crazy. You never know. But I definitely understand the sentiment. And like I said, if you're going to pump your chest out, you got to at least have more than, well, we've knocked you guys out every year. Well, what y'all done? What have you done in your entire existence? You've sniffed the playoffs sometimes here and there, but it's like I can't say that. Now, if a Chief fan could come in here and poke their chest out, a Chiefs fan could come in here and be like, yo, what up? What up? We've been relevant for the last 7. Well, I haven't many years, and we got a couple of them things. What up? Can't really have much to say. I'll even say this. Even though they haven't won, a Bengals fan might be able to come in here and flex a little bit. Because their team is, they've been there. They just got to the Super Bowl and almost got back. You see what I'm saying? And they have pretty much shown that they can pretty much be one of the kings of the division. But the Jags? Man, if you don't go somewhere. The Jags. Stop it, bro. Listen, you're right, Dion Murray. I forgot. For you guys who've ever heard of Charlemagne, and he said the craziest people in America are from Florida, from the Bronx and all of Florida. Yeah, so that's some of that crazy Florida talk. But maybe that guy's not in Florida. So we just having fun. Let's see what else y'all got. Few more minutes and then we're gonna bounce. He said, y'all been in the NFL longer, but the Panthers came the same time, but the Panthers went to the Super Bowl at least. Ooh, that's a nice jab. The Bungles can't flex, don't matter if they got barrel. They don't got no Super Bowls. You're right, they ain't got no bowls, but I'm saying at least we got to be looking at the Bengals like this, like, hey man, what they doing? Because the Bengals have handled business against us here lately. But all right, man, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right there, man. I told my lovely wife that I was gonna be a shorter tonight, and I went a little longer than expected. We have the Peloton bike here now that it has been forced to be put in the still basement, all this basement. But somehow have convinced me to put it here in my office, in my domain. She wants to ride the bike here tonight, man. So I need to go ahead and wrap this thing up. But yeah, man, I've appreciated you guys and gals tonight, man. This has been I love it. I love these type of shows, man, how you don't really have much to talk about and just the conversation keeps you going. And then we get us a nice call to fire us up. So again, shout outs to you, man, the Jags fan. Again, none of this stuff is personal. You know, it's just banter. I appreciate you calling. And feel free to call again. I'm just saying, you got to come with something better than that, because if that's your claim to fame, man, I feel bad for you as a fan. You should aspire for more than that, and not hang on to that, because it means absolutely nothing if you guys didn't go on to do anything with it. So you got to come a little harder than that, man. Pause. But anyway, appreciate you guys coming out tonight. I'm going to throw one of these. Boom. I need y'all to do that for me right there, man. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Cut on those notifications. And that's all I need you guys to do. Yeah, Tony. That sounded a little crazy. Yeah, y'all know me. But all right, man. I'm out of here, man. Love you guys, man. Y'all stay safe. God bless. Good night. And yeah, we'll catch y'all the next time. And if there's anything that breaks this week that I have to talk about, I'll be back more than likely with a pre-recorded video. All right, until then, peace.